We are back with the pond. As much as I was meant to be back the evening that I was just talking about in the last segment, I didn't. So this pond has now been running quite a while with the wood in, and everything has gone really well. It has settled so well. As you can see, the water is crystal clear, albeit a little bit yellow from the wood and always dog hairs floating on the surface because of the Dalmatians. But other than that, the water is superb. And today it is ready for plants, it is ready for lights, and I think it's ready for fish. Now, I do still need to tidy up the electrics, but because I haven't got the lights installed yet, I left them to one side. I have got 3 heaters running in this pond now. I don't actually think we're going to need 3, but it was just to get it up to temperature to start off with. Now, we're going to be using 3 of the Interpet Aquasmart LEDs, and these will be ideal because I can link all 3 together and have them all running on the same program with sunrise and sunset and storm function if I want it, but I do need to get these on the pond. So I have already created the group on my phone called Pond. So in theory, if we connect to that, all the other lights are upstairs and in my front room, so it's not connecting to them at the moment. And if I connect to them, we should be able to go onto manual controls, excellent, and turn them all on full power. Now, obviously, I will set up some timings with this so that it's got a sunrise and sunset, but that is perfect. On. Yep, cool. That should do nicely. Actually, I just had a thought. This is with the room lights on, so if I turn these off, oh my word, that is going to look so good with those cichlids buzzing around in it. So I am going to go and grab all of the tropical houseplants I picked up, not necessarily for this project, but for projects in general, and I probably did go a bit overboard, so yeah, I don't think we'll need all of them. So I think we're going to start with these 2 planting pockets in the back, as they are the easiest thing pretty much to start off with. Now, I've just got a big bucket of pea gravel. I think I'm just going to fill them both up. I don't want many nutrients in there, and if I do less nutrients, in theory the plants that I plant in there will pull the nutrients out the water. So the first plant I'm going to put in is this Chorus, which actually grows in my pond most of the years, but I've had it growing very well in the tops of aquariums in the past. So I think a little clump of that there will quite nicely go with all the other plants that I've got planned going in here. And then the next one is this Dracaena, but I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Next up we have these peace lilies. Now normally I would wash the soil off and actually put the roots into the water so they could, well, absorb nutrients, and then you don't need to worry about them. But what I've done with these is I've built a shelf behind the pond, and I'm just going to keep them in their pots with their compost. Hopefully I can keep them watered enough. This next plant is Epiprenum, or Pothos as most people would know it, and I am going to put these cuttings straight into the water. They only need their roots in there, so I need to get rid of all this high nutrient compost, because otherwise that will cause havoc with our water quality. Once I've got rid of all of the soil, we'll use all of these little cuttings in strategic places around the pond, and eventually once they start trailing and growing around, it will really naturalise the edge of this. I might even be able to train them to grow up the wall.
So with the devil's ivy cuttings that we've got here, what I'm going to be doing is using one of these clip and grow brackets, I suppose you would call them, and I'm hoping to do exactly the same thing as the lighting unit, where I clip that over the liner and then the cuttings go into there. I've also got one, oh there, that's in the shape of a basket. So that one again will do the same thing, clip it over the back of the liner, and that will hold all of my cuttings in place, and I can train them hopefully around the edge of the pond. Lastly, I've got some absolute monstrous Amazon swords to go in the sand, but I am going to have to bank these up with pebbles to stop these earth eaters from moving them and digging them up all the time. We are finished planting, and I did go a bit overboard and I definitely bought too many, but that's fine. They can be for a future project. Just got to try and keep them watered. But the whole pond looks great. The Dracenias across the back, we've got the Achoruses in there, all the peace lilies running right the way across the back as they were a bit bigger. We've got the ficus in the back corner. I might need to keep an eye on that and see how it does, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine as long as I water it. And then we've got the devil's ivy that I've posted sort of all the way around the back that I'm hoping just to train all the way around. And we've also got a couple of little cuttings on the bottom of the log. Obviously we did get the Amazon swords in, and I hope I've done a good enough job of locking them in with pebbles, but we will see once the earth eaters are in. The one thing I'm thinking is I've got this wooden beam up here. I'm tempted to mount a light unit sort of there on the same 3D printed brackets and shine it down onto all my plants, maybe. I don't know if they'll need it, because These windows, obviously I've blanked 2 of them off with blinds at the moment, but the sun comes through there and it is a really bright room. So, well, we are ready to get the fish. That was a bit of a job to catch everyone out of that tank, but I think we've got about 12 red hump earth eaters, not to be confused with the red head earth eaters, slightly different species. We've got 4 Suriname earth eaters, 6 Rio Ataya, Itaya, sounds good, doesn't it? Rio Ataya angelfish, so a wild form, and that's everyone. Yeah, that is everyone. I was going to put the keyholes in here, but I've had a thought. I might actually move the festive cichlids in here. They might damage the Amazon swords, but I might move them in here because I've got plans to do, well, not plans, a massive tank has turned up at my house ready to go in essentially my front room. So yeah, I might keep the keyholes for that. Worst case scenario, the keyholes live in the quarantine tank for an extra week and then I pop them in. But I think we've got enough fish to be going in here today. Even though I've dechlorinated and bacterial boosted and done all of that and also tested the water, it's still good to err on the side of caution. Now I am going to acclimatize all these fish because even though they're only moving about 6 feet, there is no bogwood in the quarantine tank. And there is a ton of bogwood in this tank. So the parameters are 100% slightly different. And I'm also running this one slightly cooler. Right, so we have given these fish just over an hour now to acclimatise, which everything seems the same now. Temperatures, pHs, everything. They were running at a slightly higher temperature in the quarantine tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn down the lighting. Let's just turn off the reds and blues and turn the white right down. And that will just give them a little bit of a gentler introduction into this pond. Now I am going to have to do this in a couple of batches because the redheads, we have got a lot of them. So here we go with 4 in first. All right, that big male wanted to get out of the net. Let's get all the other ones out. So that was 4. I don't actually know how many of these I've got. And I have got some babies in another tank inside. There's another 3. So we're up to 7. Someone will definitely call out my adding up in the comments. That's another 3, so we're up to 10 red hump earth eaters. Oh crikey. Another big male, 11. A big one and a small one, 12, 13. A little one, 14. And finally, a big female, 15. Okay, so we've got 5 angels and 1 earth eater, which is a good start. Go on guys, off you go. The one missing angelfish that doesn't want to come out. And then the remaining earth eaters. So I've given them a bit of time to settle down and they all seem to be just buzzing around this pond, really not caring. Had a few males sort of going underneath the caves and sort of seeking out a little bit of territory. Had the angelfish exploring in behind. Yeah, it's so cool. I am really happy with it. And now, seeing the Amazonian style fish swimming around, there's a part of me that wants to do a Malawi tank in here, or a Tanganyikan cichlid tank, or I don't know, anything. It's just quite interesting to see fish from above that generally we watch from the side. You know, every aquarium pretty much you view from the side and you watch these big, well not big, but you watch these sort of aquarium fish buzzing around. And to see them top down and to watch an angelfish swimming top down is really quite cool. I quite like it. It's a bit weird. This is literally one of the coolest things I have ever set up. I am absolutely loving it. It is literally like having my own riverbank, essentially, in the fish garage. It's just so, so cool. So I do want to hear from you in the comments what you think we should put in here next. Obviously, we've got a lot of earth eaters. I didn't quite realise we had that many red hump earth eaters going in here, but they'll be absolutely fine in this size pond. I'll just have to keep an eye that they don't breed too much, and I won't be separating out many babies, if any. So I think we've got the ground cover sorted out. I don't think we need much more ground cover. But I'm thinking maybe a suckermouth catfish that would sort of hide in amongst the logs. Obviously, we've got that big dark area where the fish retreat to when they're feeling a little bit sort of scared. So that'd be a really good area for any sort of suckermouth, loricurrid sort of catfish to go back there. The other option I'm thinking is some tetras or something to just swirl in the open water. Obviously, it would have to be something a little bit deeper bodied because of the earth eaters and because of the angelfish. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think needs to go in here. No arowanas, no. Right, so as much as I was going to end that video there, we are about 2 weeks from that comment about not wanting arowanas in this pond. And something, well, actually really bad nearly happened in this pond. And I thought it was important to actually put it in this video before, well, actually finishing part 2 of this build, because I think part 3 needs to be more fish and more plants on this wall. But let me show you what happened. Now, one thing that you might be able to see that is different is actually the water flow that is now up at the surface, rippling this surface and actually causing some surface disturbance. And, well, that was a really important thing to get done, actually, because I had it in the water underneath with no surface disturbance. And when I came down the next day, there was an oily film all the way across the surface of this pond. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this because it was pretty much panic mode when I realised what was happening. So right the way across the surface was this sort of skin, thick, oozy, I don't know what you want to call it. It wasn't thick and oozy, but it was just a layer of what looked like dust and debris on the surface. And all the fish were gasping. Now, earth eaters obviously are meant to be down at the bottom. They are not meant to be near the surface. And they were definitely up the surface, and they were, well, panicking like I was, actually. They were flitting around really fast, and I couldn't work out what was going on. And then I realised, because what I think it was the talawa wood, or talawa wood, or whatever you want to call it. Now, I have never had a problem with this wood, ever. I've used it in multiple setups in the shop. I've used it recently in the house upstairs in a few different tanks. Never have I had an issue with it. But I have had a few customers, probably 1 or 2, who have had similar issues to what I suffered. Fish gasping, erratic behaviour, things like that. And I think I worked it out. Whatever the talawa wood releases creates this protein sort of scum on the surface, because every tank I've used it in had surface agitation, and this tank, pond, whatever you want to call it, didn't. And what that then does is it blocks off the surface and it stops any gas exchange happening in the pond. Now, in mature tanks, in tanks with surface agitation, when people have used this wood, including myself, you don't have a problem because that scum is mixed into the water, it gets taken out by the filter, it doesn't create a barrier on the surface. But for the people that do use this wood and don't have surface agitation and have a very still tank, that protein sort of horribleness that builds up on the surface blocks out any oxygen exchange, or maybe not any oxygen exchange, but certainly a lot of it, and causes a massive problem. Now, luckily I was here, I was able to move the outlet of the pump right up to the surface, get that surface agitation going, and that was it. It fixed itself. The fish stopped sort of coming up to the surface, the scum disappeared really, really quickly, and within minutes of moving that outlet up, the issue had gone. It had fixed itself. Now, if that had happened at 9 o'clock at night, no, 9 o'clock's very early for me, probably midnight, but if that was happening at midnight just as I was going into bed and I left these fish for 8 hours, I would have come down to a very, very different story, and it wouldn't have been a good one. But I think it is important to note that everyone's tanks are different. There is not one rule to fish keeping. Everyone has their own way of doing things, whether it be types of filtration or water change regimes or what woods and rocks that they use. It's important to remember that not everyone suffers the same thing. You know, I've used this wood several times in the house, and this is the first time suffering a problem with it. And like I say, probably 2, maybe 3 people that I know of in the, I don't know how long I've been in the hobby, that I know have suffered this problem with talawa wood, whatever you want to call it. But it is important to remember that every tank is different and not every situation can be dealt with the same. So yeah, we nearly ruined this pond within a day or so of the fish going in. What was it? Yeah, about a day or so of the fish going in, which is quite scary actually. And up until that point, the surface scum hadn't really shown itself. There was a little haze of it, and I wish I'd got a video of it, but I was panicked. But nothing like what was on there that time of when all the fish were gasping. So there must have been some organic process of the fish going in, maybe mixing up the water a bit more, maybe they were pecking at the wood, I don't really know. But definitely having the fish in there with their waste levels going in there heightened the problem of whatever that wood was releasing. And I'm pretty sure it was that wood, because that bit's been in a tank for a long time before. This bit was in my axolotl tank for a long time. The rocks have been in tanks before. There's half a dozen Amazon swords. Okay, there's some roots of plants, but none of them have compost on. They're all bare rooted. So yeah, that's the only thing I can come up with, is that talawa wood was the problem. And like I say, it all lines up because there has been a few customers who have had the same problem, and I think it is just lack of surface agitation, lack of flow, and whatever nutrient that wood releases just blocks out the oxygen. But ever since that little hiccup, everything has been absolutely fine with the surface rippling. No more issues. So safely I can say now, what fish do you want me to put in here next? Now that it's been running a few weeks with no hiccups, I'm happy. But even then, I matured it, I let it settle for weeks. You just never know what aquariums and ponds are going to do once you get fish in there. It was weird though, because I tested the water just as a weird thing. I thought I'll check it and see what's going on. Perfect. No ammonia, no nitrite, no nitrate. So it's not a nutrient, or it's not a, I don't know, it's strange. Whatever it's releasing isn't a pollutant in that sort of sense. It's not testable in any way, shape or form. It didn't affect the pH or anything. So yeah, it just blocked out that oxygen, and must have been protein. It must have been a breaking down. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm sure there'll be people in the comments that will comment about it and similar experiences. And yeah, first time I've ever suffered it with any type of wood doing something like that. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this little update several weeks on. There will be more updates on this pond. I will be building a green wall of some description for it, and starting to train my pothos that is starting to grow up the wall. I'll train that one all the way up and maybe get another pothos to grow in amongst it. I think that'll look quite cool. But yeah, anyway, now I can safely say I'll see you in the next one.